Hey guys, this is Night Company here. Welcome everybody to today's live stream. Today is January 11th, 2024. Welcome everybody to today's stream. Hope you all are doing well today. And for today's live stream, we're going to be talking about some money brainstorming ideas, or basically that's what I'm calling, ideas to make more money to bring in more income. And I was looking at a few different things recently that came across me, and I was one kind of relay it back to you all and see if it makes sense or not. Maybe perhaps somebody has some insight as to maybe their own experience doing this kind of work or doing something similar to this, or perhaps you all have your own variations or ideas as to what you think would work for the year 2024. So, the first thing that came across my mind is, and I know I've mentioned this a few times before on a few other live streams where I've talked about maybe working with my mechanic friend who has a garage that's kind of out, kind of far away from Charlotte. I would say it's in Monroe. So that's kind of new information. If you haven't known already, we stay in Charlotte, and his garage is in Monroe, North Carolina. And so from where I'm at in Charlotte, it's roughly maybe 30 to 45-minute drive to get to his garage. So I don't go there every day, and it's sort of, I would say maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, so once in a while, essentially. And I'm still working things out with him because it's still, like, for lack of a better way to explain it, kind of awkward in terms of me figuring out how to make money with him. And unfortunately, I have these ideas in my head, but I keep getting discouragement from, left and right. And I'm trying to like get past that, and it's difficult, but it's, what do you do when you keep getting bombarded by all that nonstop every day? So the idea that I had in my mind, and I talked to him about this. First idea was that, I'll find people who need car work done, and I'll send them your way, and I'll basically get it like a commission. And he agreed, but right now, he offered like 1%, which seems to be a bit lower than what I hear the regular averages. But he said that if it goes well, then he'll bump up the commission, meaning that probably a better rate, I guess. But I don't know, because and I have two reasons. One, the first reason, and this is not my own reason, this is from other people telling me this, is that, oh, you need to be careful. He's going to scam you. He's going to steal from you. He's going to do this and that. I'm like, I don't even have a setup experience to even say that that's what he's going to do or not. Oh, that's what it's going to be. Like, I know. But then you don't tell me what your reasons of how you know, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I found, this was back, I want to say November or December, probably December. And there was a lady who had a Nissan Altima. She had a bunch of issues going on, and I talked to my mechanic friend, and I said, hey, what do you think this is? And he said, oh, it's probably her transmission. Nissans have an issue going on, especially in their Altimas, where their transmissions seem to go out over a certain mileage. And I'm like, I've never heard about that before. And he said, well, it's a trend that's going on. It doesn't mean that's what's going on with her, but regardless of her situation, she would need to at first come in for a full diagnostic test or exam. And for that to happen, I think he said something like, I want to say he said 100 or 120. I don't remember what the rate he was, but I was like, well, let me see what she'll say. And I remember calling this lady up, and I told her that, hey, this is what's going on. And, what do you think? And she said, well, I went to this automotive shop, and they ran a, I think they call it a diagnostic code check. It's like a machine that you plug plug into a sensor that's usually underneath the driver's side car, and you plug that sensor or that computer into that port, and it usually displays like a code once you crank the car on. And she showed me the paperwork that store or shop gave her. And again, my friend said, oh, you still need to do diagnostic tests. And so I told her that, oh, well, typically it's 150, but because you're a new client and would love to do business with you, how about for 125 and we can get you in next Monday? And of course her answer was like, oh, well, I gotta go see what everybody else is gonna say, and which basically means that she wants to find a lower price. So without giving in, the idea is like, well, you without like playing the price thing, you try to be like, well, this is a major issue. This could be a major issue. It's better to get this checked earlier, as soon as you can. And she's like, well, how about this? I'm gonna call you back tomorrow. And I'm like, well, how about we just schedule you for Monday? And if you change your mind, something like. And so basically what ended up happening was, apparently what had happened was a different like acquaintance of my mechanic buddy had somehow already contacted this lady, and this acquaintance found out more information from this lady than what I had found out. And essentially it turns out this lady was a business owner of some weird shop. She was part of what's considered by some people I know to be sort of what they call a cheapskate, meaning that they want to earn a bunch of money. They don't want to pay for anything, and they're hesitant to do anything, reluctant to spend any kind of penny for anything. And, without giving any stereotypes, that's kind of like a broad naming for what. I can go into more specifics, but I'm afraid that if I do that, I could get in trouble. But anyway, they found out what the business owner's business was, where the business was, and that the lady didn't want to do anything, and they even found out that this lady had purchased this Nissan Altima by mistake. And what ended up happening was, I'm like, all right, well, lady never calls me back Sunday. So I started calling her up on Monday, and I had a feeling she wasn't going to call me back. And what happens is, next thing I know, my mechanic friend stops answering his phone, and luckily I have the contact or another phone number for one of his coworkers there, or like his, I guess, business partner or friend who works there. And I call him up, and the guy's like, oh, don't give us any projects or any more work until New Year's. And I'm like, why? I mean, that's strange. Like, first you tell me go and find more work, and you give me a commission, and then the next day you're not answering your phone and tell me not to find any work. So that's weird. So because of that, I mean, that really frustrated me. And I even remember that I got so, I guess, agitated from that I had I went into tachycardia, or you can call it elevated heart rate. I think I was at like 107, 108 or something like that, and it lasted for a while. So it made me not happy, basically. So I was like, all right, let me see what's going to go on. I'm gonna wait, be patient, and I'm gonna wait to the new year. And so I wait to the new year, and what ends up happening from there is, like, I think I went over there one time to do I went to do an oil change. And next thing I know, everyone's yelling at me that I didn't do the oil change correctly, which is why I did the live stream from a few days ago, titled like car oil change problem or something like that. Let me take a look right quick. Oil change car trouble, the name of the live stream from about 6 days ago, as of the recording of today's live stream. So I go over there, start talking to him about all these different ideas, and for some reason I completely forget about this job or work of finding work for him and getting a commission. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if and I never followed up. I should have followed up with him on what's going on with like work. Are you having enough workers to complete the work? Um, figure out what's going on and why he wasn't able to get more projects in. But I think I was going through some stress at the time, which caused me to forget that whole plan. So the next thing that came to my mind was this idea of having a vending machine at the garage, so I can at least make some sort of a passive income. Not necessarily something like big. Like I didn't expect to make like over $1,000 a month from it, but I figured, if I put a machine in there and I get a machine, and unfortunately in my market it's a little high to get a vending machine compared to other surrounding cities and towns. But my idea was I would get a vending machine, put it there, hopefully make at least like a few $100 a month, and the exit strategy are basically like whenever, like if he has to move his garage or get out of there or something, either I bring the vending machine over to my mom's place and like I guess find a new location, or just sell the vending machine. And I don't know, it's like I found a vending machine. I even found a guy who would willing to deliver the vending machine over to the guy's garage, and he would even like show me and teach me how to use the machine, what to do if there's any issues. And we had like the next day after I called him, we had like a very serious storm. And I don't know, maybe you've heard of it. There was a major storm going across the southeast of the U.S. We had a lot of flooding in our area here in Charlotte. But so I wasn't able to go to the guy's place. I was thinking about checking the actual machine out before I, initiate any sort of purchase and delivery of the machine, or of the vending machine. And then I'm like, well, why do I feel kind of iffy about the whole thing? Like something in me didn't feel right. So what my concern was that, one, what if the machine gets broken into or damaged, or something, what if the machine gets damaged? Like I wasn't too concerned about food, getting damaged or food spoiling and all that. I was like, well, I can get food. It's no issue about, filling the machine up. But my issue is, not making money off the machine and, something bad happening. So I try to consult people, like what their thoughts are on the whole thing. First person's like, don't do it. You're going to have the machine broken into, and then there's nothing you can do if something happens. And he's like, oh, I tried to call law enforcement before on something, they never showed up. And this guy went on this long story about how he wasn't protected in terms of a loss. And then the second and third person basically said the same thing, who I consulted, and they said that basically they were that the people working there in that automotive garage were in a position where they were making no money, and that they would not have even a few dollars to spend on buying something in the vending machine, which I find that very hard to believe, especially since they gave me authorization to put it there too. Like my mechanic buddy said, yeah, go ahead and put it there. And finding a location for a vending machine is the toughest thing. I think it's the toughest part there is to getting into the vending machine business. In fact, I want to say that one of the first videos on even the Thai Company channel was my complaint about the vending machine business or industry. Like I'm gonna go to oldest. Where is it? I'm not seeing it for some reason. Unless I deleted it. I don't think I deleted it. Let me see if I type it in, because it's pulling up the Reddit Ask Reddit videos. So I'll put in vending and see what it tells me. Yeah, this is one of the earliest videos. And for some reason, the video tab is very glitchy. Why is it glitchy? It's like cutting off. There it is. Why going into the vending machine business may be impossible. This was a live stream that I did about 3 years ago, and I think I had somebody commenting on it before. Yeah, this is from 3 years ago, so that's just like 2021, I guess. All right, yeah, because I have a guy named Dan McGinnis who says here, here's what has worked for me. Go to places that are new stores just opening up. I have had good outcomes using that method. But yeah, so, and his garage technically is new, so that would be following that method that Dan is recommending here. So let me get out of that tab there. Yeah. So right now it's sort of in limbo, basically. Like, I don't basically have authorization, even though I could try to bypass that authorization and just do it myself, but then I'm going to get a bunch of backlash if I do that. And I kind of don't want to do that, have to go through that, because I'm going for enough stress as is. So, that's kind of the first weird area where it's like I should be looking for people to work with, and I should be like what do they call it? A person who goes and looks, gets work. Not a consultant, not a salesman. There's a name for it, and I can't seem to put it out of my head right now. But it's like person who finds work, or like a sourcer. There's a name for it. Recruiter. But anyway, the next thing that came across me, which is what I'm also in limbo about, was like making money off of managing somebody's like healthcare, sort of. And it's like I think they call it a case manager, but it's like, and this would be involving my dad. The idea is having him move to Charlotte, and he would stay in an apartment complex, preferably the one where my grandparents stay at, but it's like, there's room for variation. And the idea is that essentially we set him up here, and this would be an improvement from where he's at currently, because one, his overall rent would be cheaper. I was told he pays like $4,500 a month, which sounds like a really high amount. 4,500 US dollars. And not only is that a very high amount, it's also an amount that he's not able to pay for in his current situation. And from my understanding, I think the lady who he lives with or stays with, technically she pays for him to live there. And the only reason she's doing that is supposedly because of either she's in a situation where she has to pay for herself and him, or like some weird situation where supposedly they have a relationship together, but it's like not official, and it's a very, like, what I call gray area. And they have been bugging me for the last at least 2 years, probably even longer than that, for me to pick him up and move him to Charlotte, which is another reason why it'd be a plus. He gets to be away from this lady, and apparently he and this lady have been having issues for a while. So, something needs to be done about that. And I think if he was in Charlotte, he would get better care, because one, we can at least figure out, what exactly is wrong with him, because he doesn't know himself what his health history is, what kind of illnesses or diseases he has. And we have suspicion that he may have dementia, even though it's sort of like a gray area too, because it's like 2 people have visited him and they're not medical professionals, and they said that he has dementia. And when I've spoken with him, he has what I call good days and bad days, where he's, completely fine, and other days he sounds like he's crazy. Like, when I do this bed story episodes. And, I think at a first, and what's nice is that if he were to move, and he's at minimum going to be moving away from her to like a unit that specializes in memory care. And I don't know how that's going to go. He may be fine with it. He may not be fine with it. And that the lady wants for him to leave as well, that he's staying with. So there's at least a few people or a few motivations out there for him to move away from his current situation. So another thing that I've been working on is, I've been trying to put in an application for him to get to this apartment in Charlotte. So I went there today, and luckily I had his physical, like his ID and his social security card with me, so I could go in and I'm like, hey, let's get these at least scanned in so you all have a copy of his IDs, and let's get him onto the wait list, because you can't just instantly get into the apartment where we want for him to be. And so went over there, and they won't accept anything I gave him gave to them, because they want not only his ID and social security card, they want his birth certificate, and they want his like proof of income. And they want all of this before even putting him on the wait list, which is, to me, very strange. So what I'm wondering is either, we are going to have to try to contact my dad and see if he can get any of those documents, or we're going to have to try to order him like a copy of his birth certificate, if that's even possible, or come up with some solution for that. Or the other option is to create our own like documents or something. But I haven't figured out what to do. But what's weird is that apparently he's paying $4,500 a month for this rent. But on top of that rent, he's like paying for a bunch of other expenses, like healthcare expenses, medications, paying for his medicine. And he's paying for a few other things, and I'm not even quite sure of what they are. But from the text messages that I've been getting from his brother and my uncle, apparently his monthly expenses are somewhere between $6,000 to $9,000 a month. And I have no clue how in the world he got up to that amount. Other than I could maybe see possibly $6,000 if it's like he's got to pay for medications, maybe transportation costs. I don't know if he's paying for like food and groceries. He probably is. And it's, it's unclear, but to get to $9,000 seems a lot. And my thinking is that at a minimum, if he were to move to Charlotte, we can decrease that 9,000 to like the high end 8,500 at least, or 8,000, maybe even a lot less, depending on what he needs. And I'm kind of I've been looking at it for different perspectives, but a minimum as a source of income, if I move him over here, and the person who is like, I have a half brother who's claiming that, if he moves to this memory care unit, that he can pay and cover for dad's financial expenses. But if he were to move to Charlotte, and my half brother essentially would pay for me to take care of him, that would be another source of income as well. Because otherwise, if I don't get anything from my mechanic friend or my half brother for taking care, for doing healthcare, here's basically where everything stands. First, where we stand is basically, in my current situation, which is money that has been coming in for taking care of my grandparents. So that's like home health care. And that's like $16 and some change. But I'm going to have to take a look into that to see what the exact number is now, especially since it's a new year. It's, January of 2024, and I've been there since May. And let's see what's going on. I have somebody calling me. Who's this? Hello?
Добрый вечер, Саш.
Добрый вечер.
Я в бассейне была, и не слышала звонка. Сейчас я увидела, вышла из бассейна, и еду к дочери. Саш, у тебя одна просьба. Можешь сделать? Ты дома, да, сейчас?
Нет, я у мамы.
Саш.
А что?
Срочно надо тут люди съездить и посмотреть, что-то она на телефоне отвечает.
Хорошо, сейчас я тогда узнаю, что там. Она не отвечает, да?
Нет, не отвечает. А бабушка дома?
Бабушка дома.
Я сейчас ей тоже позвоню тогда. Ты постарайся поехать, ладно, сейчас?
Хорошо, постараюсь. Это самое, я вам оставил стеклянные банки вам на улице.
Ой, спасибо.
Да, там две.
Позвоните, пожалуйста, что вы не можете поехать, чтобы у нас другой вариант.
Хорошо, сейчас я узнаю.
Давай. Это срочно.
Да, я понимаю. Хорошо, сделаю. Crazy. Apparently I have a neighbor who's not answering their phone and they're concerned about their health and well-being. All right, so it looks like I have to go and see what's going on. So I'm going to see you all on the next live stream. So if you guys have not already, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and we'll see you all soon. Take care, guys. Stay safe and have a wonderful 2024.